Welcome to Women with ADHD in the Workplace. If you're a manager, a team leader, or an HR professional, you're probably bombarded with all the latest tutorials, how-tos, and best practices for how to increase productivity, innovation, and diversity within your team or organization. Of course, this is something every leader wants to do. This video series is going to explore something that can meaningfully promote these sought-after attributes that really isn't talked about enough within the scope of diversity, equity, and inclusion. We're going to be talking about ADHD with a particular focus on its impact on women in the workplace.
My name is Alex. I am a second-year MBA student at the University of Toronto, and my experience going through 7 years in the corporate world suggests that my struggles weren't unique and that other women with ADHD have similar struggles. So I'm currently working on an advocacy awareness project with the University of Toronto's Institute for Gender and the Economy. And my project is trying to uncover the ways that women with ADHD are uniquely impacted in the workplace and try to find ways that employers can better support these women.
You don't have to know whether or not someone in your team has ADHD in order to benefit from the insights and the suggestions in this video series. The things that we'll be talking about will be helping you to create a more inclusive culture that will benefit everyone. With ADHD impacting about 5% of the adult population, chances are there are people within your company or team who have ADHD, even if you don't know it. Highlighting the unique ways in which women are impacted by ADHD is essential, and this is for a number of reasons. Not only are women about 3 times less likely to ever receive an official diagnosis compared to their male counterparts, the prevailing social and cultural expectations that women face means that the way that they experience their symptoms and the way that others perceive their symptoms are going to be much different compared to men. Challenges and symptoms of ADHD may seem invisible to colleagues and supervisors on the outside, but their outward impacts can often be seen and generally misunderstood or mischaracterized. Women often attempt to mask their symptoms at work, and they do so believing that showing their true selves will only reinforce negative labels they've been hearing their whole life. This masking, or hiding your true self, is really what breeds this imposter syndrome, anxiety, and dissatisfaction in your work. Incorporating an awareness of how ADHD affects women at work means that we need to recognize the intersection of neurodiversity with gender roles and expectations. By acknowledging that symptoms might be less visible on the outside in women, and by shedding light on the ways in which their symptoms really do manifest, hopefully managers and organizations can create more supportive and flexible environments to move beyond a one-size-fits-all approach to productivity. This shift will not only benefit the women with ADHD, it's also going to foster a more inclusive workplace culture in general, and this will just benefit everybody. This has been the introduction to women with ADHD in the workplace. The next video in the series digs into our first main topic, hyperactivity, distractibility, and hyperfocus. We're going to explore how a better understanding of these specific symptoms of ADHD can really transform the way that you relate and work with your employees and really help your team shine.
You mentioned no one can truly understand how a person, with ADHD functions unless they have it themselves, which I totally agree with. But so how would you do your best to describe it to someone who doesn't have ADHD?
It manifests for different people in different ways, but for me, it's a high degree of kind of chaotic energy and so much going on at once mentally at times, and excitement and stimulation and hyperactivity, and it's also brought out in certain environments. But the best analogy I could draw is comparing to that of an octopus and saying that it's like you're picturing your brain as an octopus with 8 different tentacles, always at every time of the day.
I love that. Would you be okay if, down the line, I use the octopus image?
Absolutely.
Okay,
yes.
Fantastic. I love that image. I think that'd be really cool to
Yes.
animate.